couple of years, I think it's fair to say that our interest in the royals has very much been sparked, hasn't it, by the Netflix TV series The Crown, which is now in its 6th and final season. Well, I read somewhere that King Charles III would be one of the first monarchs to come to the throne with so much of his personal history already in the public domain. The latest in the series tells the story of Princess Diana's post-divorce life, her relationship with Dodi Al-Fayed and her death. Well, starring in the series is a London school teacher, Mohammed Kamel, who plays a member of the Al-Fayed family. Mohammed, it's such a pleasure to have you on BBC Radio London.
Thank you for having me on. Pleasure is mine.
Now, I mentioned at the beginning of the show that by day you teach English, don't you, in Wembley? So where did it go from being a teacher to then delving into the world of acting, or has that always been the case that you've wanted to do acting?
Oh, it's always been the case. There was always, as a good friend of mine, who I'll tell you about in a second, always said to me, it was always inside you, bursting to come out. It just needed the right prompting. I mean, I grew up with a dad who was in the country before he came to the UK, and he was also a screenwriter. And he gave me that love of film, that love of literature, that love of fiction, literary criticism, novels. He would always encourage me to read classic novels like Charles Dickens, Emily Bronte, that kind of thing, and watch classic movies like The Godfather and so on. So it was always there. It was always there. And a chance meeting in London on a night out with an actor called Ainsley Lloyd Bennett, who happened to be from Wembley, and also an actor of colour, an ethnic minority like myself. A chance meeting with him and then becoming friends with him. And as I'm a movie buff who always goes around quoting movie dialogue and quoting classic lines from Star Wars and so on. And he looked at me one day and said, you quote all these classic movie lines, you know, and I'm an actor and I don't know as many movie lines as you. Have you ever thought of giving it a try? And that was it. That's how I got into it. Took acting lessons from there, made a show reel, got an agent, and here I am.
And I mean, this is just such a fantastic success story, you know, for yourself being, as you just say, kind of, you've definitely worked on your craft, because as I understand it, Mohammed, you were teaching during the day and in the evening taking drama classes as well.
Yeah, that's right. I had to work very hard for it. I mean, I'm not one of these people who thinks, you know, you should just sit at home and wait for life to happen to you. It very rarely happens that way. You know, you have to sort of go out and as Arnold Schwarzenegger would say, you know, you have to go and grab the bull by the horns and make it happen. So I would work 9 to 5 as a teacher, quickly rush over to Chiswick,
yes, which
is where ArtsEd Educational Schools is. It's a grammar school whose patron is Andrew Lloyd Webber. You may have heard of it. It's in Chiswick. Of course,
I have absolutely heard of it. I know it very well. Absolutely.
Oh, wow.
I'm from West London, so I know it very well.
So, you know, oh, wow, that's fantastic. See, there you go. So we're neighbours.
We certainly are.
We're practically neighbours. So, yeah, I went there 3 or 4 nights a week. You know, some weeks it was 3 nights a week. Some weeks it was 4 nights a week. And I wouldn't finish until 9 or 10 in the evening. So basically, I'm teaching from 9 in the morning up until 5, no break, straight to ArtsEd, did my acting course, wouldn't get home until about 9 or 10. And that lasted for a whole academic year. But I didn't mind, because I thought if I want to be an actor, I need to study the craft. And I was tired, long days, but it didn't matter, because you're doing something that you love.
And so how because it's not just this particular, you know, Netflix series, you've also been in the Indiana Jones film as well. And so how have your students or previous students reacted to this? Because this is so inspirational, you know, especially for young children, teenagers, to look at something that you yourself have achieved whilst working.
It's I mean, that is a great question, because it's often hard to put into words their reaction. You know, you just see it on their faces, and you see them light up. You see them get so excited, and they do things like, as you know, people nowadays, everybody has a mobile phone with an internet connection. And some of my students, so not the primary school students, but for example, I also teach adults English.
Mm-hmm.
And many of them, they come from abroad and they come settle here and they want to learn English. And you can see them doing the long distance calls, the video calls to their country back home and telling their family, this is my teacher, look.
Lovely.
Stuff like that. And then recently I was at Elmsley Primary School, which is in Wembley, in Brent. And I was teaching there and we had a workshop. They had a careers day for the primary school children, for the year fives. And different people came in. So I got to meet an Olympic fencer who's part of the Great Britain Olympic fencing team.
Fantastic.
Lovely chap. And everyone came in and spoke about their profession. And of course, I spoke about acting. And the kids they absolutely loved it. I mean, they were so delighted. And we got them to get up and do some acting workshops. And
it's amazing.
Some practical exercises, and their teachers loved it. They loved it. I mean, it was lovely. And a big bonus is that my cousin actually works at that school, so she was very happy.
I mean, that's quite something. But Mohammed, you are at the point now, surely, where you don't need to teach. Why do you still continue to teach as you are now fully fledged in your acting career?
Oh, I wish. Well, actually, I don't wish because I do love teaching, but I'm not at a stage, as I'm sure many actors will tell you, depending on what role you get and how much regular you get. Not every actor is a big A-lister who can retire, with their millions.
Sure.
So the roles that I've gotten so far, although, they are very high profile and, of course, they've put me on a very good path, but I haven't earned nearly enough from it to be able to give up teaching completely. And even if I could, I wouldn't. Because, as I said in a recent interview for Brazilian television, because one of the places where I like to teach is at a Brazilian community centre, which is also in Willesden in Brent. And they had a Brazilian television crew come down and interview us and ask, they said, you're an actor in this Brazilian community English. And the thing is, I love to just give back to the community, because it gives you a sense of fulfillment teaching, which is very difficult to find elsewhere. Much as I love acting,
sure.
And I am very ambitious. I would love in the future to be, the main star of a film and to be a Hollywood A-lister. I was still, even then, I would find time to go and teach somewhere.
That is so fun. I mean, honestly, that's just such a fantastic story in terms of the fact that you've had. And, I think we do live in a world now where actually nobody has, firstly, a job for life, and you can have various passions. And the ability to be able to pursue them is, sometimes a luxury. And clearly, in your case, it's been just a real effort around putting your hard work and sacrifice into it. And so let's talk about The Crown. You knew it's coming. I have to talk to you about this because everybody's talking about it. Tell us about the character you play. You are, as I mentioned earlier, playing one of the members of the family of the Al Fayed family in The Crown. Yes,
that's right. I play... of course, they're all real-life characters. So I play a real-life person called Ali Al Fayed, who is the younger brother of Mohammed Al Fayed and is the paternal uncle to Dodi. And in terms of real-life history, he was more... So, of course, Mohammed and Dodi were always in the press, as you know.
Mm-hmm.
Ali was more sort of like behind the scenes and more a voice of reason in terms of curtailing the family spending and so on, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, okay.
So Mohammed and Dodi were very much like, oh, let's spend 50,000 on a private jet, or let's spend X amount on a yacht. And
right.
Ali would be the one saying, ooh, let's hold the horses.
Let's maybe not.
Let's look at the finances and see if we can really afford this and so on. So he was that kind of more grounded character, if you know what I mean.
Okay.
And that's a summary of the character that I play. Yeah.
And what was it like being and filming in The Crown? Just talk us, because I appreciate, even if I try and push, you're not going to be able to give us too much away.
It's an incredible experience because I thought I got my role in The Crown in season 5 before I had gotten my role in Indiana Jones.
Wow.
If you know what I mean.
Yes, yeah, I understand. With filming schedules, it comes out, and then when it comes out, things can be different.
Indiana Jones, I went back and did season 6 of The Crown. So it was like The Crown, Indiana Jones, The Crown. So my first experience of being on The Crown when I was filming for season 5, I was completely overwhelmed. I just was blown away by the budget, the sets.
Yeah.
I mean, we filmed in a place very close to Uxbridge. And if you're from West London,
I know Uxbridge very well.
Yeah, you must know. Very close to Uxbridge, Denham. And there are lots of sort of country estates near there and so on. And we filmed one scene there in this country estate in Denham. And it was meant to be the Ritz Hotel in Paris, right? Okay. And as I was there, I mean, first of all, the country estate just blew me away. I was like, wow, what a place, and only 20 minutes from where I live, right? I was like,
perfect.
These are parts of England I've never seen before. They're so picturesque and beautiful. And we filmed there. And then, of course, when season 5 came out last year and I saw the footage and I was like, oh my God, it looks like Paris. I mean, this looks like Paris in the finished product, but at the time I know that it was in close to Uxbridge.
That's the beauty of film, isn't it? Just the way that they do it, honestly.
But that sort of blows you away. The scale, the sheer scale of the set design, when you're on set, the amount of people on set. I mean, I play, we're not going to pull the wool over anyone's eyes. I'm not one of the starring characters. My character is a minor character in the show. But even for a minor character like myself, I had 5 or 6 people fussing over me in between each take, and I'm thinking, you got to remember, each of these people needs to be paid, right?
Right, of course.
So the budget must be something else.
But on the basis of that, I have to ask you, who have you watched the shows with? Like, has it been a family affair? Surely everyone's got together to just celebrate seeing you.
Family affair. Watched it with my nephew, with my nieces, with my cousins. It is a family affair, and of course, you can imagine my family. Of course, the majority of us, apart from our parents, were born in England. Right. But the family heritage does go back to Egypt.
I see.
So you can imagine in Egyptian families, the kind of the phone calls and the delight and the shouting in the background and the celebrations. We saw you on Netflix. And all this kind of stuff.
It's so heartwarming, Mohammed. And just as I let you go, and it's been such a pleasure having you on the show. I'd love to follow the journey when you're next, of course, going to be able to come into the studio. But have you got any new projects lined up?
So yes, I can't say too much.
Oh, here we go. You can't let it out. Go on then. How much can you tell me?
I can tell you. So of course, the season 6 is out now, and everyone's excited about that. Yeah. But I did recently do some work on a top secret commercial with some Premier League footballers.
Okay.
For a chocolate brand that shall remain nameless.
Fine.
When you see it, you'll know it, and you'll recognise me.
Lovely. That will do for now, I think, Mohammed. Such a pleasure having you here on Radio London, and a huge congratulations again, and long may the success continue. It's such a beautiful, good news story, really, and heartwarming one, which is what it's all about. Mohammed, thanks for joining us today.
Thank you very much for having me on.
Thanks again. Mohammed Kamel there plays a member of the Al Fayed family, a London-based teacher, now turned actor starring in The Crown. Watch out for him. Very much looking forward to hearing from Mohammed in the coming weeks and months to find out a little bit more, I have to say, about the new projects and also advert that he decides to do. 'Cause I could be